All right.
3, 2, 1.
All right.
Hello. What's up?
¿Cómo está?
Excellent. Hey.
P-O-D-C-A-S-T podcast.
Let's go. All right.
P-O-D-C-A-S-T podcast.
Podcast.
Let's go. P-O-D-C-A-S-T
Podcast. Boom.
Okay.
Well, that was fun.
That was great. Energy's up.
Energy's up. All right. So I'm
Yep.
Kunal, an analog elder.
Wes, also.
I'm Mark. That's it.
Well said.
Well said. Eloquent.
I shall mark that.
Okay.
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, it starts already.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Kunal, I
You
know
don't get
there's
a
been...
for that one.
No, I don't.
I've been
I don't
hearing
deserve
those
it.
jokes for the past 15 years.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's not the first time you've heard that. I'm going to have to dig deeper.
So, today's episode. Shall we go?
I'm ready.
All right. So, today's episode is...
Bring
Thank
it in.
you.
Bring
Let's
it.
elevate it. We are just back from ASUGSV in
Yes, sir.
San Diego.
Yes.
Big old conference about tech and education.
One of the best.
One of the finest.
One of the
they tell
finest.
us.
Yes.
And one of the things that we
Yes.
heard a lot about was the rise of untrustworthy information, deepfakes,
Yeah.
etc.
Yep.
In this new AI world.
Yep.
So I want to talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
And then I want to get into something you talk about because I think there's a through line, which
Okay.
is the idea of human hallucinations.
Yes, sir.
Because we talk about AI hallucinations all the time.
Yep.
So explain real quick, what do you mean by human hallucinations?
Okay, so people say when you open up a chatbot and you type in something and you say, there's a little disclaimer, things may not be, correct when you get them back, and we know AI can make up things, right? So we have that. We have that information out there, and people act as if that might be something very difficult to deal with and problematic for, adopting AI.
Yeah.
I mean, everything on the internet you should read with a grain of salt. But my take on human hallucinations is we've had people tell other people things that are not true about them for millennia.
Yep.
So I'm talking about racism, right?
Yep.
Your skin color means that. You're no good. You're less than.
Yep.
I would call that a human hallucination. Classism. I drive this type of car, so therefore I am better than. So these types of systemic oppression and modes of perception where you're elevating one human above the other, I would call that a human hallucination. And it happens all the time. And it doesn't not ever not happen.
Yeah, it
And
never
it's
not happens.
always part of human culture.
Yep.
And so when we start finger wagging at AI, I'm like, when you point at me, there's 4 fingers pointing back at you. Oh, it's only 3. But, one time in elementary school, I got told that. When you point at somebody else.
Did you have an extra finger on your hand back then? Is that what happened? But no, this human hallucination, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm Indian, and we have an
Say
entire
more.
religious system called the caste system.
Oh.
Based
Is that
on human hallucinations.
I did not know that it was like a religious system. I thought social system.
I mean,
I'm learning.
religious, social, they
Yeah.
kind of played on each other. But yeah, we have an entire system based on what you would very eloquently describe as human
Interesting.
hallucinations.
And you've told me that is not something that's disruptable or even people don't even excuse it. It's just accepted.
It just is. It's accepted in the sense that it exists. It's not accepted by many folks who feel who can recognize it for the injustice that it is, right?
Okay.
And there is in the let me tell you about this. We weren't supposed to go here, but I'll go real quick. But let me tell you about the cleverness of some of the religious architecture around this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It is so entrenched that like in Hinduism, there's reincarnation.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Reincarnation.
Yep.
Finn's
I've heard
doing
of
some
it.
work. Yeah, Finn's trying to make you look good here.
Okay.
Nice. Reincarnation.
That guy looks like $1 million.
Yes, he does. Reincarnation is based on karma.
Okay.
You build karma, good karma, bad karma, whatever it is.
Yes.
Right? And so there is an idea. This idea isn't prevalent necessarily today in mainstream, but it was for a long time, that those who are in a lower caste are in a lower caste because of their karma from a previous life. And so that's why they're in a lower caste. They did something bad in the previous life.
And they're needing to work through something in order to move up in this continuum.
Correct.
Hierarchy.
Correct. And not only that, but let me tell you the real, I mean, that's a real thing. But let's add another layer to it. If you offer charity to those who are in a lower caste, you are screwing up your own karma because you're messing with the karmic whatever.
They've got to work it out. So charity is disrupting that.
Yes.
So interesting.
So you can't actually, i.e., poor people stay poor and die. And I promise you, there's a life ahead of you. And you'll be so much better if you just maintain your place.
So I have so many mixed feelings because I feel like American education system is built on some sort of promise of education can help you improve your station. Like education is a key to unlock your future. It is a light unto your path, if you will. So that's an interesting and education system in America is for everyone.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that would not play well.
It wouldn't yet. Yet.
Speak it.
We have a very, very strong parallel here, right? With racial segregation and the way in which America is so deeply raced.
Yeah.
There are a lot of parallels to the caste system. And, I speak on behalf of myself only. Indians who are listening to this, you can yell at me later.
Shout out our fellow Indians.
But I strongly believe that there's one of the reasons why Indians of a higher caste usually, because they're the ones who often could afford to get here to the U.S., the reason that a lot of Indians fit so well in American society is because American society resembles in many ways the stratification, the almost inconquerable stratification of Indian society reflected here in U.S. society. Ironic, given that we think of ourselves as the freest, most mobile, most socially blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right?
So I'm going to put on and this is, could be in the show notes, Isabel Wilkerson's book Cast and the movie made about it, Origin. I'm going to put those on my to-do list and explore that more because it does talk about those parallels.
Yeah.
And
in fact, that was my master's thesis.
I know, you were telling me.
Yeah. Was a parallel. I got an A from it. Yay.
Good job, sir.
Yes, thank you. So here's where I want to go with this podcast because I'm super interested in this.
I want to go where you want to go.
Oh, isn't that lovely? Thank you for being so accommodating. This idea of deepfakes is really unsettling everyone, right? And
if there's anybody that can deepfake out there, can we please get a deepfake of Kunal on Fix It Felix?
I don't know what that is, but I'm assuming it's amazing.
We'll throw up a picture.
All right.
I'll have to Google that.
Okay.
Okay.
So with deepfake technology, of course, we have the unsavory, nasty stuff that's happening. And that is, we're not going to downplay, dismiss anything of the pain victims go through, the pain their families go through, and in some cases, irreparable harm. I mean, we're talking about kids taking their own lives and things, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not glib. It's not something that we just sort of say, oh, whatever, it's the price of progress. It's real.
Yeah.
I also want to go to a place where we start to ask the question of this entire idea of photos now being able to be generated by AI, and we cannot distinguish between AI generated and real photos. Even now, definitely in a few months, probably Midjourney 8, no chance.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Midjourney 6, I took a photographer in Nebraska that I follow on YouTube. We're actually friends in a Discord group, and I put his style described. He likes to take pictures of like abandoned farmhouses, cars. I put his style.
A lot of content in Nebraska then, huh?
Oh my gosh. I'm like, dude, how many abandoned houses, barns, and cars are there? There are thousands, if not trillions. Yeah, you like how I jumped up there?
Yeah, that was a few magnitudes.
Yeah. So he has a style that he likes to do. I deeply appreciate it. I put in Midjourney 6. I put, abandoned 1957 Chevy, blah, blah, blah. And the picture came out. It gives you 4 to choose from. And I kind of said, scale up. And I sent it to him and the rest of the people in our group. And it is eerily resembles shots that he's done before. Mm-hmm. And the quality is there. You can't tell it's not a photo from a camera. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And so that's just a few lines of text to generate what he spends blood, sweat, and tears and hours out in the field looking for.
And so we are
Shout out Jared Z.
Jared Z. Yeah, and so we have this, so now we're at a crossroads, right? And so I want to talk about really quickly that crossroads because I want to sort of put it in context because I don't actually think it's that weird that we're losing this ability of that new.
Yeah.
I think this idea of photography being a source of truth is actually barely 150 years old, 100 years old.
Yeah.
We haven't had photographs for more than 100, 150 years.
Yeah.
And I think about 2 examples that kind of come to mind. One is Vietnam, the Vietnam War.
Okay.
And how television, the fact that Americans could watch for the first time actual war footage in full color on television gave birth to the anti-Vietnam War movement.
Yeah.
And that was because you cannot lie.
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah.
I don't care about your propaganda. I see it.
Yeah.
And another example, which I think is again, the power of photos being incontrovertible truth. Emmett Till's mom, when she said, they're going to see my baby. They're going to see what they did to my baby.
Yeah.
And that turbocharged and exploded the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
Because this human hallucination that so many people had.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's way worse than you think.
Yeah. So there's this power of the media, the photograph, the footage to ground people in a visceral experience somehow that head knowledge wouldn't necessarily take them to.
Or like a drawing or a story. You can always, because that's what we had before.
Right.
How were we relaying information? We drew.
Yeah.
We told stories, and those were always subject to bias, interpretation, etc. And everybody knew that, right? So they're like, "Oh, here's a picture. I don't believe you. I got to see it to believe it." The sequoias, when folks from the east, settlers from the east, came to California and saw the sequoias, they actually had to cut down a sequoia and take it to the East Coast because the drawings
no one would believe
they
it.
wouldn't believe the drawings. They're like, this isn't real. Like, you're making this up. And so they cut down a sequoia to send it so that they could see the tree was real. And there's part of me that's thinking, yes, there's a lot lost in this idea of seeing as believing.
Yeah.
Which it's just not going to be, it's not true anymore. It's not that it's going to not be true. It's not true anymore. We're done.
Yeah.
But I think I think we were relying too much on that. And we actually caused a lot of stress by almost figuring out what images best support me. You can't deny that the image exists or that it's real. And so, boom, here we go. Let me justify the horrible things I'm going to do. But maybe it's okay that now we don't believe these photos anymore. I don't know.
So let me tell you 2 short stories that are from my past, and then I want you to help me unpack that in light of this. So probably around the time I was 10, I had an uncle from Wyoming visit. Let's just call him Uncle G. We spent the day, in LA. We went to Universal Studios, took the tour, saw where Moses parted the Red Sea. Is that Moses? Yeah, that was Moses. I was like,
I was about to say, you're taking it really far back.
Is it Noah? Where Jaws, like
your uncle was in with Noah?
No.
Oh, no.
We were on
Moses.
a tour.
It's not Noah, it's Moses.
Moses. We were on a tour, Universal Studios tour. And so my uncle, speaking of Vietnam, had been in the service, was a vet. And I remember he came to my room. I went to bed and he was like, hey, I'm going to go give Wes a good night, whatever. And he said, I always knew those movies weren't real. And it was this moment where he didn't actually know that Hollywood was fake until he saw a behind the scenes tour, right? Yeah. So him to say, I always knew those were fake movies were fake, revealed like it was so oppressively convincing,
right,
that you go into this darkened theater and you experience another world. It really infects your mind with like that is reality.
Yeah.
And this is also part of the human hallucination, because who's in Hollywood, right? Who gets the starring roles?
Yep.
Who gets paid more? Like this whole class structure.
What stories are people going to pay to go watch?
What stories are people going to pay to go watch? So he grew up with like this. Is that really? Yeah, I haven't seen the backside of Hollywood until this tour, but he had also imbibed that whole social culture of whatever's on the screen is right, is important.
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir.
Movies aren't real.
You need behind the scenes now.
What, movies aren't real? What?
All right. So the second story that I'm going to tell you.
Tom Cruise was just some, Hold on.
I
always thought he was just some pilot.
All right. So the second story that I want to tell is when I first started my teaching job, there was administrators that were at odds with some of the AP and honors students. And so some of them got up to the craftiness of taking pornographic images out of a magazine and Xerox copying the principal and the assistant principal's face on those figures. And so
it takes me back.
It takes you back. So you're like, oh, that person, our salutatorian, was involved in X. Haha. That was like, yeah, sorry about the pun. But going back to my very first moments in the classroom, and you're in this environment trying to control what's real, and I'll point out what's significant about that moment, and hopefully you can help me unpack it more, is you have this underpowered, oppressed class of students trying to fight back against the people who are trying to run the school. And so it's this mirror of society. So help explain those to me. How's it fit in with deep fakes? People have always been trying to use media to empower themselves.
Exactly right.
Or pitch a story that they think doesn't get represented.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And, we have a word for it, propaganda, but let's call all digital storytelling what it is.
Oh, hold on. Let's call all stories propaganda.
Yeah, we can do that.
So and I'm an English literature major, and I would say every story is trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
Right? I know people will say, no, it's just art. I don't know if we have a sound effect for that.
No, you just made it.
Yeah. No, it's
can
just
we,
art.
Can we do that right now?
Yeah, you just did it.
Doing it
You
live.
just did it. We're doing it live. We're doing it.
Creating a sound effect live?
We're creating a sound effect live. This is a new one. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
No, it's just art. All right.
Well, now we have it.
Okay.
All right, go.
All right. No, it's just art.
Nicely done,
Mark. That's super impressive.
Nicely
Wait, that's
done.
my voice. That's not me saying it. We deep faked me.
Yes. What? Let's throw the podcast out the window. Throw the podcast out of a moving train. No. So this is where
steer us back on course.
It's less, to me, it's less about deep fake.
Okay.
Because what we're calling fake is something that we put our trust in. For good or for ill, we don't know, but we put our trust in that voluntarily. No one forced us to say, "Oh, all photography is real,"
right?
And that's it.
Yeah, that was the story.
That was the story we told ourselves.
You actually even know, like, if you research the exposure controls and how film was manufactured, it was not done for people of color. And so you actually you can look up this, you can look up this history of film being developed, and it doesn't do justice to people of color. It was developed for white people's skin tones.
Yeah, just like these stupid automatic paper towel dispensers. Like when I put my hand on with my dark side up, it never works. The second I flip my hand up, I'm like, oh, look, it's coming.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yep, every day, every time I'm in one of those things.
Yeah.
And I test all of them. I'm like, I just on purpose. but what this gets me thinking about is
can I go back? Because if this rings any bells, it's that we value science, and photography is like a scientific or an invention out of those realms of chemicals and using light. And so maybe it's this, I don't know, sometimes the valuing of science over human spirit or human soul, maybe we lose some of that. And so saying a photo is something we make through science, therefore it is real, it is the best, it is, you have to believe it. Maybe that doesn't serve us so well anymore.
No, and this, because like exactly what you're saying, this idea that the thing that's outside of us is more important than us, and the pursuit of a photograph versus the pursuit of authentically communicating a personhood.
Connecting. Yeah.
Which one is more important, right?
Yeah.
And so, like you said, talking about photography not being, if you look at the old ways in which pictures were developed. I mean, let's talk about today. Like using an iPhone, and like all you see in some pictures at night are my big old eyeballs. Like, right?
Yeah.
I'm like,
more of Kunal's eyeballs, please.
And so these are like, and then, I really want to go towards human hallucination and what this means for.
Well, let me give you a segue or a connection is the book Imagine Communities. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I had to read it somewhere along my graduate school. Benedict Anderson is the writer, and it was tied to somewhat the premise that when we began to publish newspapers to say this is what happened in this region, and then that newspaper could go to another area, that was tied to the rise of nations. And so because we could tell stories about a certain region and then ship it off to a certain other area, now then we had to define ourselves, and that was tied to the rise of nations, which is tied to the nationalism, which is tied to people fighting against each other when there were no nation lines. There were tribes living in proximity, and you just went from one language group to another language group. You did your trading, but the sharing the written word in a codified way to say this is our identity and it's separate from you, then that story through technology, the printing press, right? That story helped people become more hardened toward each other. Like that's us, that's them.
And maybe in the past, like lions were othered, but now other humans were othered. Yeah.
And there's always been skin tone and things like that from time immemorial, I would say. But then we also did that with our, like, we're going to be nations, and we're going to draw, what's our national language and all of that.
Yeah. So then, like, if we're thinking about deepfakes, and we're thinking, and again, I don't even want to use that term anymore because it's just another photorealistic image. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's a photorealistic image that's done using artificial intelligence.
And it's interesting. I think this ties into another podcast. We said we don't use the term AI art. We say AI image.
Right.
And so we're distinguishing art as something human. And it's got different tendrils and meanings than just being able to generate something that looks like something. And I like how you said photorealistic image. Is that what you said?
Just photorealism in general.
Yeah, it's harder to say, but it's an important distinction, I think.
Yeah, and I think so. And so I have decided I'm just not going to use the term deepfake anymore. Outside of like colloquial use, so that people know what I'm talking about. But now, given that, given the history of this, we're talking about power using storytelling, drawing, and now photos, cartoons, whatever, in order to sort of demonstrate their superiority, justify war, justify atrocities, whatever. What are we going to do? How can we think about things like Sora, Midjourney, other image generators now as we move forward,
Yeah.
in a world where photorealism is simply another form of art,
Yeah.
potentially just another form of marketing,
Propaganda.
how can we keep an eye so that it is a democratizing force, a force to raise those who are squashed,
Yeah.
rather than those moneyed people just owning all the resources.
So you are. We're getting signals. 5 more minutes. Okay. All right. I like to be transparent.
Yeah, let's
and just
go.
be on the same page.
Break
and
down that third
exactly wall.
This just in, they're running over time.
This is the segue that I wanted. Is I think transparency. One, when we talk about young people, students, we want students to be able to use AI and tell us how they're using it, and plan how they're going to use it, strategize how they're going to use it, and let's talk about it. One of the things that I've noticed in our work in the first 4 months in Orange County as AI administrators is it's maybe messaged to one group, principals, let's say, but not messaged to teachers, or it's messaged to teachers, but it's not messaged to students. And there's a disconnect. And so that breeds kind of some distrust in the system. So I think one thing that we could do, and I don't know, you bit off a huge project here, but I do think transparency and telling people, it's like why we're having the Student AI Summit this week. And this may come out before or after, I don't know. But the Student AI Summit is so that we have students on stage with a mic talking to each other so that they can be honored and in the moment together on the same page, and adults can listen to that, and then it can help us adjust course.
And I would love to raise this question with folks, with kids at that summit, right? Like this idea of, okay, so you can't believe photographs anymore like you did when you were younger. What does that mean as far as making sure that you as a generation don't fall into the same bottomless, horrible mud pits that we fell into and generations before us fell into? I don't have an answer for that. Maybe we can ponder it a little bit more for the next episode.
Yeah, definitely.
But
definitely.
Yeah, but this raises questions of like true deep human integrity. Putting that mirror again in front of us.
Yeah. And I think ultimately, one of the things we believe is humans come first, technology comes second. And when you have these moments, and I don't want to get on a soapbox, but a lot of our work, we're working with people who are looking for kind of like an ethical policy handhold to put into place so that we can tell right from wrong. And I'm not necessarily sure that that's elevating the human. I think it's safeguarding and mitigating risks. And I think that's part of being a part of a bureaucracy. And I don't think that serves humans. And there I said it.
There, you said it.
It's off my chest.
That's why your title is Chief Instigator.
I can't believe you made those business cards.
I did. It was for ASUGSV. So those of you who are ASUGSV who are listening to this, if you got his card,
the collector's
treasure
edition.
it.
Yes. They are worth pennies.
Treasure it. All right, we're going to revisit this conversation about.
I love it.
About what is reality.
Yeah.
Hey,
what is reality?
What is reality?
Great topic.
Yeah, for next time.
Yep.
All right. So
Peace out.
we'll close it out.
Close us out, Mark.
Yeah, Mark, close us out.
All right, 3, 2, 1, and we're out.
This has been Squeeze the Day. I am Kunal, Analog Elder.
I am Wes Creasel, your Analog Elder.
I am Mark Dickman, your whippersnapper.
All right, and we will see you next time or hear you next time.
On the flippity flop.
And we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye.